we had to go and play with lineups that, we didn't know whether or not they would work, but we had to play them because we didn't want to risk Steph now because we wouldn't have
you
him
need him
later.
in the playoffs.
Yeah, same thing with Clay and KD and all those great guys.
You're KD's teammate for the 2 years he was there. So no, he played there 3 years.
Yeah,
3 years, 3 years. But two of his 3 years, you were his teammate. How his work ethic, Steph's work ethic, Clay.
Yeah, I mean, so that's that's one of the reasons why it's important to be able to see and be a part of, teams like the Warriors, because if you don't see how those guys work firsthand, like, you never quite know. I'll never forget the first time I saw Steph working out, and me, like I'm in the NBA, but I'm literally learning because I want to be able to give it to the kids, right, and transplant it back to the kids. So I'm watching him work out, and I immediately said, there's nothing he's doing that I could ask a 10, 11, or 12-year-old to do, because it was that crazy.
What was like some?
You know what I mean? It was just like, he's playing defense in the workout. That's the first thing. Yeah. So he's legitimately challenging himself to stop guys, and then in order to go play offense, make a shot. Just different things that I hadn't really seen. Timed shooting and this extreme level of makes in a row before you move to the next spot. Those types of things, were really jaw dropping. And then watching the consistency with which he and Clay shot the ball, the consistency in which, KD worked just all the time on his game. And then, watching how simple they make the stuff look, just how basic KD's game is when you really think about it.
Yeah, it is. I talk about that all the time with people. I'm like, KD is the simplest guy, but you can't. Yeah. You can't defend it. He's 7 foot and plays like he.
Well, that's what makes him an elite player. Like, and that's elite players are elite because they do the fundamentals better than everybody else. It has nothing to do with the extra stuff and the fancy stuff. The elite players are the guys that are more fundamentally sound and can execute the fundamentals of the game at an extremely high level. So, for instance, like Clay and Steph, their footwork is never wrong coming off of screens. Like, it's never wrong. Like, even in like a high, late game, you gotta be absolutely perfect. They're like always perfect, like always right, like always the right choice. Like, they always shot fake at the right moment, like always step back at the right moment, always, up and under at the right moment. It's always the right, they always make the right choice, in other words. And it's because they've got the fundamentals down pat, so you watch a guy like KD and it's like, yeah, KD's hitting y'all with basic stuff now. On ESPN and all these other things, the highlights make it look different. But
when you watch the full thing,
right? Simple stuff.
Dribble, pull up,
right.
Post up. Yeah.
Simple.
That's
simple.
Big
so that's what separates them, right? And just the consistency in which they do the work, and the other thing I think that gives them an advantage more so than other folks is, as big of a star as KD is, or big of a star as Steph is, they're not necessarily caught up in the lifestyle.
Yeah, they're super
very humble, down to earth. Sort of, you can still relate to them. They can relate to you, and that's not typically, the case, with guys of their stature. In a lot of ways, you say they've earned the right to sort of be who they want to be and how they want to be it. But as it relates to those guys, they're just unbelievably humble. As crazy as it sounds, driving themselves to practice every day, because there are some superstar guys that don't do that. They've got family and people around them, support systems, but you wouldn't necessarily. You don't see KD with 100 people. You don't see Steph with 100. You see Steph with his family. You see Steph with his brother, mom, dad, kids, wife. Same thing with KD, very small circles. And I think that's allowed for them to have, the level of success that they've experienced. And, a lot of people may not realize it, but those are the things that give them the advantages, that they have while they're playing.
I'm going to play this game with you.
Okay.
All right, so it's called Off the Top. I got to ask you 10 questions.
Okay.
Some of these you already answered within the interview, but I think it should be good. So Which one was your toughest finals run? 2017 or 2018?
2018.
2018. My fault. You answered that. Hardest player in the NBA you defended?
Hardest player?
Hardest player.
Oh, Dirk Nowitzki.
And what? Over Tim and all of
Yeah. Well, yeah, because see, I figured Dirk out. I mean, I figured Tim out and KG out sooner than I figured Dirk out. Because they were post up.
So what did Dirk?
Dirk ran in transition. He hit transition threes.
That's a prime Dirk.
Pick and pop. Yeah, pick and pop. I thought Dirk was a better, 1, 2, 3 dribble ISO player than Tim and KG. Now they had some other parts of their game that were tough, but just speaking of the 3 best players at my position while I was in the NBA, it was those 3 guys, and then Dirk and Tim were in my division, but because Tim would be more or less considered traditional, and I didn't have to guard Tim. He played more he was a 4, but he played the 5 more. So, but I had to guard Dirk.
Yeah.
And Dirk was like that hybrid 4 that, was just impossible to deal with.
Who's a better shooter, Steph or Clay?
Off the dribble, Steph. Catch and shoot, Clay.
Okay, that's fair. Oh, those corner threes with Clay, or Steph turning around?
Catch and shoot, Klay Thompson.
Klay Thompson? Okay. Most helpful teammate you've had your whole career?
Most helpful?
Yeah. On and off the court.
On and off the court. Let me think. I'm trying to think. Man, that's a tough question. I would say probably the most helpful had to be PJ Brown.
PJ Brown?
Yeah, my rookie, because he was an old head, but like PJ was a starting power forward when I got to New Orleans. And so basically, the first day we met, he was like, "You here to take my spot, young fella."
For real? He just said that off the
real. And I was like, kinda. He was like, probably won't be this year because, we got an older team, veteran team. He's like, but you're going to have to show that you can step into this role because I ain't going to be here long. PJ was already 34 years old, 34,
he's
35.
a real one for that.
So, but that was the reality that I was in as a rookie.
Favorite all-time player?
Favorite all-time?
Yeah.
That's Tim and David Robinson.
Tim and David Robinson?
Yeah, both of them. Yeah, those are my favorite guys.
Okay, favorite music artist? Could be currently and all time.
No, Biggie.
Biggie, hands down?
Yeah, Biggie.
Okay.
Biggie, hands down.
Hardest college team you played?
Yo, you know what's funny about this? Last week, the motherfucker was just hired as the GM of he's the general manager of it's either the Texas Rangers or the Houston Astros.
Okay.
Chris Young.
Chris Young.
Yeah.
What college did?
Princeton.
Princeton.
And I never got to play against him again.